mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. They compassed me about also with words of hatred and fought against me without a cause. For my love, they are my adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer, and they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. Set thou wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Yeah. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread, also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he had, and let the stranger spoil his labor. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his fatherless children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following, let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth, because that he remembered not to show mercy, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay the broken in heart. As he loved cursing, so let it come unto him, as he delighted not in blessing, so let it be far from him. As he clothed himself with cursing like as with his garment, so let it come into his bowels like water, and like oil into his bones. Let it be unto him as the garment which covereth him, and for a girdle wherewith he is girded continually. Let this be the reward of mine adversaries from the Lord, and of them that speak evil against my soul. But do thou for me, O God the Lord, for thy name's sake, because thy mercy is good, deliver thou me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I am gone like the shadow when it declineth. I am tossed up and down as a locust. My knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh faileth the fatness. I became also a reproach unto them. When they looked upon me, they shake their heads. Help me, O Lord, my God. Oh, save me according to thy mercy, that they may know that this is thy hand, that thou, Lord, hast done it. Let them curse, but bless thou when they arise. Let them be ashamed, but let thy servant rejoice. Let mine adversaries be clothed with shame, and let them cover themselves with their own confusion as with a mantle. I will greatly praise the Lord with my mouth, yet I will praise him among the multitude. For he shall stand at the right hand of the poor, to save him from those that condemn his soul.
Wow, I like that. I like that. That was nice. That was nice, baby. I really appreciated that. Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom, everybody. How y'all doing this day, this wonderful day that the Most High have made? Let us be glad and rejoice in it this morning. Let us be glad and rejoice in it this morning. I hope your week has been a great week. I hope the Most High have really truly blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and peace. I hope the Most High really have blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and understanding of His Word. I hope the Most High, what's up, Brother Greg? I hope the Most High really truly have blessed you over and abundantly with everything that your heart desired this morning, this afternoon. My week has been a week, man. It's like I hope y'all been listening to my messages, because I'm going through some things, right? And it's about today's teachings, but I want us to understand the whole element of my teachings today, because liberation is freedom to be able to do what you want to do, how you want to do it, the way you want to do it, but the way the Most High wants you to do things, right? And sometimes in life, right, You may want to do things the way you want to do them, but the Most High will continue to like you got a towel, right? And it's full of water. And you're squeezing and trying to get that towel dry, right? And sometimes that's what the Most High do to you. He will squeeze you and squeeze you and squeeze you. He'll put you in environments that you think you want to be in, but when you get in that environment, you hate that you was ever in it. You know, and that's something that we got to understand is that sometimes the Most High will squeeze you to remove you out of situations, whether you want to be in it or not. Okay. Let me show you this book that I bought. It's called The Vatican Secret Archives. The Vatican Secret Archives. I got this. I listen to GOCC sometimes, and he has a lot of good information. Not saying that I follow him, I listen to him. You know, I be trying to get good information from him. I think he's a very smart brother, but whatever the direction and audience he decided to have, that's on him. But I like him because he has a lot of great information. And I want to open up something in this book called The Vatican Secret Archives, right? So when Christopher Columbus came over here to Americas, it was the beginning of the end of the world, from which we knew it, because in this book, it reads, it says, end of the world, twilights of gods, right? And it says this, end of the world, twilight of gods, right? And this was what is depicting as if when Christopher Columbus landed over here in the Americas, when he landed over here in the Americas, and when he was conquering the native people. When he started to conquer the native people, that was the beginning of the end. Because the simple fact is, everything that he was doing, it was he was like in Revelation chapter it ain't chapter 12, but chapter 9. It was like chapter, what is it? Okay, it was just like in chapter 6, right? In chapter 6, it says, because we got to understand what actually Christopher Columbus did when he got over here, and what the European people did when they got to the Americas. The Americas was full of people of color. Okay? Okay, and I'll get back to that in a second before I get started. Okay, and it says this right here, and I saw when the Lamb opened one of the seals and heard, as it was the noise of thunder, one of the four beasts saying, come and see. And I saw up, and behold, a white horse. And he that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering to conquer. That's what Christopher Columbus did, conquer to conquer. This is also part of the book, the fourth part of the world. The Americas is considered to be the fourth part of the world. Also, I just had the book. Christopher Columbus and the African Holocaust. So when you're looking at it, when Christopher Columbus came over here, you know, it says that I saw and behold a white horse, and he sat on him, had a bow, and a crown was given unto him, and he went forth conquering to conquer. That's what Christopher Columbus was doing. They conquered Africa. They conquered Canada. They conquered Australia. They conquered all the native lands. They conquered the North and South Americas. They conquered everything, right? Then it says this, in verse 3. And when he opened the second seal, I heard the second beast say, "Come and see." And there went out another horse that was red, and power was given unto him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. And see, we have to understand this, right? Since the America's been in existence, the United States has been at war 98% of the time. We've been in existence since 1776, right? 1776 from 2026 is 0, 5. We've been in existence for 250 years. We've been at war for 248. We only had 2 years of peace, or 3 years of peace. So from that time period there, but even when you got to look at it, right, quote unquote, when Christopher Columbus arrived in America in 1619, we got to understand what they was doing during that time period. They was bringing in slaves. They was deleting or conquering the Native Americans, Black natives. The Seminole Indian, the Cherokee, the Cherokee and all the other Native Indians. They was deleting them, taking their lands, killing their food, making them hungry. Right? They was doing that. Then it says in verse 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast say, "Come and see." And I beheld a black horse, and he sat on him and had a pair of balance in his hands. And I heard a voice in the midst of the fourth beast say, "Measure of wheat for a penny, and 3 measures of barley for a penny, and see thou hurt not the oil and wine." See, it was famine in the land as long as the Europeans has been here. Until they got control of everything, they was taking out the buffaloes. They was deleting the buffaloes. They made the people starve. They made the people starve, not just here in America. They did it in Australia as well. They did it in Canada. They doing it in Africa. The people are starving. The people was starving. They did it over there, also over there in all continents, wherever they conquered. From that point on, when the Catholic Church started to come into power in the mid-14th century, they had made a conquest to be able to conquer the unknown land, or the land that is not considered to be Christians. That's why they say Christopher Columbus discovered America. They saying that he discovered it because the simple fact is the native people that was here in the land was not Christians. So when Christopher Columbus got over here, he looked at them as heathens because they was not considered to be what the Catholic Church ordained, or what they thought was supposed to be Christian people. Right? And then it says this in verse 7, it's Revelation chapter 6. And when he had opened the fourth seal, I heard the voice of the fourth beast say, "Come and see." And I looked, and behold, a pale horse. And his name that sat on him was Death. The book of the pale horse. All in this book is about death. Since this country has been together, it only provided death in the land. It has not provided, it has been a DNA warfare against the people from the very beginning. It has been a DNA war from the very beginning to annihilate the original people in the land. Okay, and it says again, and I looked, and behold, a pale horse, and his name that sat on him was Death, and hell followed with him. Death and hell. And power was given unto them over the fourth part, over the fourth part, over the fourth part of the earth, which is the Americas, to kill with the sword, and with hunger, and with death, and with the beasts of the field. So, good afternoon, my brother Tracy. So when we're looking at it, these people have been conquering us since the beginning of time, since their arrival. And that's why this book, the Vatican Secret Archives on page 17 say that when they came over, it was considered to be the end of the world because of how they was going to treat the people in the land. I want us to understand that, and how they've been treating people very horribly, right? So now, let me go through my protocol, and I want you to turn to the book of Exodus chapter 1. We're going to go through 1 through 8, okay? But I'm going to go ahead and go through my protocol, what I normally do. Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17. Because I want us to understand, this is today, I want us to understand what the mindset of the oppressor, or what the mindset of Pharaoh is about. What is his whole thought process is. His mindset, let me go ahead and do this. In Exodus chapter 20, verse 1 through 17, it says, And Ananias spake out these words, saying, I am Yahuwah, the Ananias, which I brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Ananias before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. And thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, the Ananias, am a jealous Ananias, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me, and keep my commandments. And thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy Adonai in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh the name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord, of Yahuwah thy Adonai, and in it thou shalt not do any work, nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. In 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in it is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore, if Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy Adonai giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. Okay? So let me read this. Let us pray. O creators of the heavens and earth, of our radiance and vibrations, soften the grounds of our beings and carve out a spaces with us where your presence can abide. Fill us with your creativity so that we may be empowered to bear fruits of our mission. Let each of our actions bear fruits in accordance with our desire within your purpose for our life. Bestow us with the wisdom of produce and share where each being needs to grow and flourish. Untie the tangled thread of destiny that binds us as we release others from the entanglement of past mistakes. Do not let us be seduced by that which distracts us from our true purpose, but illuminate the opportunities of present moments. For you are the ground and the fruitful vision, the creator and power and fulfillment as all is gathered and made whole once again. So let it be, so let it be, so let it be. Yeah, so when when we started to look at Exodus chapter 1, right? We got to understand when Joseph and the family went to Egypt, when Joseph was already in Egypt, right? Let me do this. I think the key verse is verse 10. Yes, the key verse is verse 10. Let us do this. It says, it's going to be 8 through 22, but the key verse is verse 10. It says, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they're falling out any wars, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Okay? That's the key verse. It says, come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they're falling out any wars, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. So get them up out of the land. Okay? And the title of the teachings today is, we are still living in Egypt. We are still living in Egypt. And one of the words that I have for you today is mindset, a fear. Fear comes from a mindset. Fear is not real. Fear is a mindset that people take on. And I'm dealing with that myself, okay? I'm dealing with this. This is about me today, but if you can take hold of it, you take hold of it. But this is talking to me about my experiences, and I'm letting you know that. Fear is a mindset. It means calamity, sudden danger, peril, sudden attacks. Fear is a painful, emotional, or passion excited by an expectation of evil. Fear doesn't exist. It only the expectations brings on the fear. Fear doesn't exist until you start making it be what you think it is going to be. But if you don't think it's going to be that way, fear will not exist in you. Fear will not be there in the present moment. The only thing that is real is danger. Okay? So fear is caused by possible danger. Nothing necessarily saying that it is danger, but fear is expecting. It's an expectations of something. Okay? Deception. The word deception is the act of deceiving someone. Okay? That's the second word. Fear and deception. I want us to understand those two words, okay? Deception means the act of deceiving someone, okay? So we're dealing with those two words today because I want us to understand that in order for Pharaoh to get the children of Israel to be able to become slaves and be obedient to him, what sparked him to be able to start the movement? Pharaoh had fear of something may possibly happen that may not necessarily happen. Pharaoh was afraid that if something happened, the fear in Pharaoh was causing him to move and do things, right? And when it caused him to move and do things, he was putting his fears on someone else in someone else's situation. Doesn't mean that the fear was correct or his ideas was correct. It just, that's what he wanted to do. Because he understood the possibilities of something. Even though there's a possible ability this could happen, but there's also a possibility that it may never happen. And see, that's something that we got to realize in life. And see, this is what I'm going through. Possibilities of something happening, and then there's a possibility that something may not ever happen. But what drives us is when we allow our emotions to kick in. And whatever emotions we allow to kick in, that's how we will operate within that situation. If we allow the Spirit of the Most High to kick in during the moment of perception, we would think from a more positive viewpoint. We would look at things different on saying, how can I benefit from this? Right? Hypothetically, my situation, right? I don't really care anymore. Okay. And it was a situation at work when I was working and making, right? And I had a service center manager that was younger than I was. Okay. And he was younger than I was, and I also had more experience than he did. I've been in the transportation industry over 34 years. I've done a lot. I was a truck driver, I was a city driver, a road driver, I was a dock worker, I was a hostler, I was safety, I was an instructor, I was a road test. I have practically did everything that I possibly could imagine I could do in the transportation industry. So when I went down to Macon, with my experience, I was going to help Macon Service Center. But when I got that, my service center manager perception of me changed. He looked at me more as a threat, more so than a help. So when you look at someone more as a threat than a help, they will move differently. They will look at you differently. They wouldn't look at you as a person who can come in and help me do better. They will look at you as a person that will come and harm me. And see, that's what the mindset is. However you perceive a person, that's how you would respond to that person. However you see a situation, that's how you will respond to that situation. And so when you look at that situation for what it is, you got this person with all this stuff. Am I going to look at them as how he can help me benefit? Or how am I going to help this person? Is he more of a threat to my position? And that's what we got to look at. That's what Pharaoh's thought process was. These people was more and powerful than me. His mindset was such a negative viewpoint, he couldn't even get the blessings from the person or from the people. He only got the curses from the people because how he was thinking in the situation. And see, when you have a mindset of a negativity or negative viewpoint, you could never be blessed because the simple fact is, it's like this story, right? It was a man in the ocean, and I'm sure everybody have heard this. It was a man in the ocean on a boat. He prayed to God for help. It was one boat came by and said, "Hey, you need some help? Hey, you need some help?" The man said, "No, God gonna come save me." So that boat went on. Then he prayed again. God, send me some help. Come get me. Another man came by the boat. God, they say, "Man, you need some help?" "No, God gonna come save me," right? So that boat left him. Another boat came and did the same thing. So eventually he died. He perished. So when he got up there to talk to God about his sin, he said, "God, why you didn't come save me?" God said, "Fool, I sent you 3 people to help you." And see, his viewpoint of the situation made him respond in totally different situations. And see, if you view things from a negative way, you're going to respond differently than if you view things from a positive. Your mindset, if you are a man of faith and you believe in the Most High, and you believe that you are anointed by the Creator. Your mindset should always be positive from the viewpoint of the Most High will never leave you nor forsake you. Because my wife was telling me some stuff this morning and last night in the bed. When we put our total trust, and I'm talking to myself today, y'all take something, you take something, you don't, you don't. But when you put your total trust in the Creator, He don't have no other choice but to protect and provide for you. But when you have a mindset of Pharaoh, which is the physical, you're going to operate in one shape, fashion, or form out of fear or threatened environment. And that's what I want us to look at. Our mind always got to be set on Christ is going to provide for me. He gave me the energy to get up. He gave me the abilities to do the things that I could do. He gave me all these things. So now I just have to get up and function in my abilities. And He will bless me because I'm favored, because I'm obedient, or because I'm obedient and I'm favored through His word. But I want you to look at, when I'm teaching this today, I want you to look at the mindset of Pharaoh. Pharaoh was operating out of fear. He wasn't operating out of love. He was operating out of fear and deception. He was deceiving people because of his fear. Not because of out of love, because of fear. Yeah, but it also he wanted to be like, oh yeah, but this story is so much deeper. And when we look at our reality in the United States, when we look at our scenario, see, it's so much deeper than what we look at and what we see. Got to look at numbers. We got to look at ethnicities. We got to look at all these things. We got to look at the biblical resources. We got to look at all these things before we can make a decision about what we think is actually going on in the world today. We can't just say, oh, this is this and this. No, we got to put all that into view. Because, let me see something. Because the Hashatan is saying he don't have nothing but a short time. And see, when we understand that he said he don't have nothing but a short time, where did that logic come from? Where did he get that mindset that he has nothing but a short time? Because that's what the Hashatan, that would cause him to go out there and terrorize the Hebrew people. Is it because he knew that his population was decreasing at a rapid rate and the only people that he could use are decreasing, so he's had to move more diligently to bring destruction upon the earth? Where does it come from? Where did that come from? Where did that mindset come from? So now when we're looking at Egypt, right? Exodus chapter 1, verse 8 through 27. Understand this. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt. New king means a spirit, personality, a principle, a new person in Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, the government, because the Pharaoh, the king, is in charge of the governmental system. It's not just in charge of one thing. He's in charge of the whole nation. The president is in charge of the whole nation. Look at the president. Look at the king's mindset. Look at this. Let's look at it. And the king said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when they're falling out any wars, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us. Look at the fear. Look at the manipulations. Look at the unevidence of truth, the false deception in this statement. Because nowhere in history, even when you look at the book of Jasher, even when you look at the book of Jasher is not, the Hebrews fought with the Egyptians in war. Just like when we go to war, you got Black Americans also fighting along with other nations of people in the United States military. We're fighting with the United States of America to support the United States of America. So what will give a president or a king the ideas that the Hebrews will want to go against the Egyptians if it came down to a war, when they consider themselves to be Egyptians or living in Egypt for over 250 years or 430 years? What would give that king that mindset? What would give that king that mentality to say, hey, even though these people have fought with me in a war, even though these people have been living in my land for over 400 years, I still don't trust them enough that they will ride with me in a time of conflict? What would give him that notion? What would give him that mindset? Because this is the mindset that the king has. And sometimes we can look at this in our present day moment. The mindset of the king of our society. Because he has done a separation and division among the people. He destroyed DEI. He took away all major African-American or Hebrew military people and only put in his people to be in charge of the military. We had 3- and 4-star generals that he removed out and put his own people in. Why did he do that? So when we're talking about the mindset of the king, the mindset of the king. And it says, when they're falling out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. See, he wasn't just fearful of war. He was afraid that the Hebrews would leave the land. He was afraid that the Hebrews would join with the enemies and leave Egypt, because he was benefiting off the people in Egypt. And if you look at our scenario today, if all blacks in America want to decide to get up and leave America today, would this governmental system allow them to do that? But we're not talking about the people, but we're just talking about the mindset of the king. The king was operating out of fear. He wasn't operating out of love. He was operating out of fear. So he had to do something to cause something to happen. And see, the definition of fear is calamity, sudden danger, perils, sudden attacks. a painful emotion or passion, excited by an expectation of evil. That's what this verse is talking about. The king was expecting something to happen that may have never happened. And see, we can do the same thing as people. We can be expecting something negative to happen in our life. It may never even happen. But what causes us to feel and think that way is because of fear. Fear of something new, fear of something better, fear of the unknown. So when we're put in those situations, the first thing we go into a protective mode. We start trying to figure out, how can I protect myself in this situation? Self-preservation starts to kick in because of what you think is going to happen and what's actually will happen. Okay? Because it says this in Job chapter 5, verse 13. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness, and the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. See, listen to that verse again. He taketh the wise in their own craftiness. See, see what Pharaoh actually thought he was doing, Pharaoh was not doing. He was actually deceiving himself in the process. And see, a lot of the times, we deceive our own selves in the midst of situation of overthinking things, making things be more than what they actually are. Because then it says the counsel of the forward is carried headlong. The word headlong, what that mean? The word headlong means to be flow easy. It means to hurry. What Pharaoh did was I tell my son there all the time. What I tell my son is this right here. Never make a hasty decision to what appears to be a bad situation. See, Pharaoh was thinking that this situation was bad. So he said, I had to hurry up and make a decision about something. Even though it may appear to be one way, but in actuality, it's going to be something totally different. And see, that's why we can't make hasty decisions, because when we make those hasty decisions, and especially if our decisions is based off of fear, it will cause us to make a bad decision. And that's what Pharaoh did. He made a bad decision into a situation what appeared to be a bad situation, but it wasn't necessarily bad. It was just his perception and his viewpoint of the situation. Also in Proverbs, it says this, in Proverbs 16 and 25, it says this: there's a way that seems right unto a man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. See, when fear kicks in, deception kicks in. Deception means lies. When you're starting to lie about something because of whatever it is, you bringing on calamities in your own life. because that's what Pharaoh was doing. And if you look at the situation that we're in today, only thing that we know that this man does is la 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 la. It ain't no truth in this person. Ain't no truth in this person at all. But he's not realizing that he's bringing on death because of the lies. And see, don't nobody, it doesn't tell you, we got to read between the lines in verse 1 and 10. Ain't nobody telling Pharaoh, man, these people been here living here with us a long time. These people ain't done nothing to us. They have actually helped us. They help us fight in wars. They was more loyal to us and our country than we was to our own country. There was nobody telling Pharaoh that. And see, when you look at up down up there in the top of the Capitol, ain't nobody telling that man sit down somewhere. He just want he want people around him who say yes, 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 yes. So when you look at Pharaoh, there's a way that seems right unto a man. It seemed right to a man in Pharaoh's eyes to do what he did. It seemed like that's what he was supposed to do. But in actuality, it was the wrong thing to do. But the end thereof are the ways of death. See, when you allow your emotions to kick in, when you allow fear to kick in, you start to deceive people. You start to manipulate people for your advantages. And see, when we look at our society today, that's what's going on. Deception, manipulation, trickery, fear. That's why I tell people to quit looking at the police officers and this George Zimmerman and all that stuff. Quit looking at that, because the only thing it's doing is creating fear. That's the only thing it's creating is fear. Yep, that's what you got to look at. That's what we got to stop doing, because it'll give us a false reading. I'm not even. What you say?
You have people afraid to go outside.
Right, like my wife said, you'll have people afraid to do any and everything. Even when Fauci was on the thing, Fauci was creating fear in the United States, and he caused people to make making a hasty decision in what appears to be a bad situation. And see, the government funded Fauci. So what appeared to be a bad situation, everybody moved in fear. They moved in fear, and it caused some people to perish. And it wasn't even no need, because we didn't sit down and say, okay, let's look at this. Let's look at this situation. Let's look at this and let's look at that, so that we can make a better decision. We didn't get wise counsel. Let us go to James chapter 3, verse 15 and 18. Listen to this. Listen to this. This wisdom descends not from above, but is earthly, devilish, sensual. For where envy and strife is, there is confusion and every evil works. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality, without hypocrisy. and the fruits of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. See, the first two verses are for Pharaoh. The first two verses, 15 and 16, Pharaoh, he was moving from an earthly and physical realm. He was only moving from his viewpoint and his counselor's viewpoint. It says, this wisdom descend not from above. What decision? Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply and it come to pass that when they're falling out any wars, they join also unto our enemies. That's foolish thinking from Pharaoh. That's why we got ICE agents coming about today, because of foolish thinking. That's foolishness. Thinking that somebody gonna go join with somebody else to come against the nation that they in. Like they burning down their own house. Where they're biting the hand that feeds them. Then it says this, for where envy and strife is, there is confusion in every work, every evil work. And everybody's confused. Everybody's confused. Because of what this person have done and what he is doing. But not realizing that he's bringing death on his own society. Okay, so let us go to verse 11. First point, this man, this Pharaoh was fearful. Pharaoh was very fearful. He in a position where he didn't have to be fearful. Because he was in power. He was in power of everything. He just had to he had to understand something. He just had to be able to understand and make sure he moved correctly. Okay? Now it says in verse 11, therefore, they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasure cities, Pittims, and Ramses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Israel. Who was grieved? Who was grieved? Pharaoh and the Egyptians. Because everything that they tried to do against the children of Israel, it didn't work. See, that's the thing about it, is when you do things out of an evil and deceptive way, it ain't good for you. What you're only doing is making somebody else prosper in the eyes of the Most High, because the simple fact is that person is crying out to the Most High because of what you're doing to them. And see, my wife was praying for me this morning because she see what I'm going through. Because she know what I'm going through, it's not right. Okay? Verse 12. No, verse 13. And the Egyptian made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, means hardness. They was intentionally bringing on hardships for the people. And see, let me say this. What I see in society today, right? The people who's are working, people who's in charge of the workers, they understand the situation. They understand scenarios. They understand that we're in a tough economy. And the people who's in charge of the employment of these companies, they feel like they can mistreat, they can talk to people in a kind of way, and they can demand things of them more than they used to because of the current situation of America is going through a depression. And they know that everybody got to try to find ways and means to take care of their children and their families. So they have to take what the corporations are dishing out or what the government is dishing out. That's what I see that's happening on jobs. Corporations are using, or the system is using people as human capital and not, they're looking at people as expendable. They're not looking at people as human beings. They're looking at people as human capital. You're expendable. You can come and go. We'll get somebody to replace you if you don't help me meet my numbers. Because at the end of the day, that's what they're looking at. They're not looking at how the job is being done. They're just looking at the job being done. If you got to verse 13, verse 12, but the more they afflicted them, they're not looking at if they afflicted people or not. They lied to the people, they deceived the people. They don't care about that. But as long as the numbers get the way we want the numbers, that's all that matters. That's all Pharaoh was thinking about. I need what I need. I want what I want, regardless of how you get it. I want it done. And see, he was trying to build his fortress. He was trying to build everything about him. And I don't care how you do it. Just do it. Talk to him any kind of way, beat him, whatever you got to do. That's why Moses did what he did to one of the soldiers, because they was mistreating his people. So that's an example. Go to Exodus chapter 2, verse 11, because this is going to tell you the conditions of how it was in Egypt. Because it says this, and it came to pass in those days when Moses was grown, that he went out unto his brethren, the Hebrews, and he looked on their burdens, and he spied an Egyptian smithing in Hebrew, one of his brethren. Moses was a Hebrew. And he looked this way and that way, and when he saw that there was no man, he slew the Egyptian and hid him in the sand. Understood that no matter what Pharaoh, no matter what the people had to do to get what they wanted done, they did it. Even if they was beating them with a whip, even if they was cussing them out, even if they was disrespecting them, Pharaoh just wanted what he wanted. Pharaoh was moving out of fear and deception. And the people who was working for Pharaoh was moving out of stupidity. Because they didn't even see actually what they was doing. So let's go back to Exodus chapter 1, verse 14. Listen to this, how the Egyptian was treating the children of Israel. Let's listen to it. They was afflicting them, they was beating them, they was probably deleting some of them. And they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in bricks and in all manner of service in the field. All this service wherein they made them serve was with vigor or hardness. Pharaoh didn't care. Pharaoh didn't care about nobody or nothing. He just wanted what he wanted. And Pharaoh is moving out of fear. And if we look at our society today, most people are afraid that when they go to work, they walking on eggshells because the simple fact is they understand the conditions. They understand the pain. They understand they're scared to do anything because they don't want to lose their jobs. Because they understand that they got to be able to work and take care of their families. And see, I had to talk to a young lady last night at work. She's a sweet person. She got kids. And I had to encourage her because she's working in an environment that's male dominant. Male dominant, right? Then she's doing labor that is unbecoming of a female. Most females don't naturally do this unless they're forced to do it. Because she's working in all elements. Hot, cold, extremely cold, cool, whatever. And she's doing it because she has to take care of her family. And people, when the taskmasters understand this situation, they use it even more to their advantage. That's the hard part about it. The taskmasters in Egypt knew what they was doing. They intentionally afflicted the people. They intentionally brought hurt, harm, and danger to people. But they didn't care because the simple fact is, they're going to say, I'm only doing what Pharaoh told me to do. But you don't have to always do what the way Pharaoh wants you to do it. Right. You don't have to do it the way Pharaoh wants you to do it, but you got to still try to help get done what Pharaoh wants you to help get done. Right. You don't have to belittle nobody. You don't have to beat nobody. You don't have to disrespect nobody. You don't have to talk down to nobody to get somebody to do what you want them to do. Because they're not human capital, they're human beings. They're not expendable. You talking to people who have families, who got children, whose mothers and fathers, whose uncles, whose nieces, whose nephews. These are somebody else's in somebody else's life. So who are you to mistreat people in the manner in which you're doing it? But did the Egyptians care? No. Not realizing that they were bringing death on their own selves. But all this situation came because of how Pharaoh was feeling, how Pharaoh was thinking. Not from an illogical standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint of feelings. And only feelings alone. And some of the taskmasters could be some horrible, horrible people. But the people are only in this situation because they didn't know no better. They was in a situation where I ain't got nowhere else to go. They came codependent on the system and Pharaoh. Huh? Huh? Okay, so now, in verse 14, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage and mortar, and in bricks, and all manner of service in the field. This was an intentional act to bring on hardness on the people. And it says, all their services wherein they made them serve with vigor, with hardness, was brutal. Verse 15, and the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of the sons of Shapari, the name of the other was Pooh. And he said, when do the office of the midwife to the Hebrew women see them upon the stool? If it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Now, this man was intentionally committing genocide because of his fear. He just didn't want somebody to go have hard bondage because of what his mentality was. Now he was trying to say, let's get rid of him. Let's give him the birth control pill. Let them be able to have abortions. He was doing all of these things because of fear. Not because of love, because of fear. Pharaoh was fearful man. Even though he was the king of the nation, even though he was this and he was that, Pharaoh still was a coward. He still had fear in his heart. So he tried to say, well, now we're going to delete them. We're going to delete their children. Listen to this. In Matthew chapter 21, verse 38. Because we got to understand that we have had a lot of lynchings lately, right? Of young people, not old. We have a lot of police brutality, a lot lately. And all this stems from fear. All this stuff is coming from fear. Okay, in Matthew chapter 21, verse 38, it says, but when the husbandman and saw the son, they said among themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him, and let us seize on his inheritance. See, Pharaoh just wasn't afraid because of the multitude of the people. Pharaoh was afraid because of their anointing. See, that's what I was talking earlier this week about. You cannot continue to allow somebody to live off of your blessings and your abilities for their benefit. That's why I was talking to you this week about that, because the simple fact that people see your abilities more than you actually see your own. And people will want you to walk in your abilities for their benefit more than they want you to walk in your abilities for yourself. And I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to me. You just have to be able to have the confidence to walk in it for yourself. When you have the abilities to walk in your abilities for yourself and not allow Pharaoh to use you, you'll be all right. See, what stops people is FEAR. And I told my wife that this morning and last night. Because it's an adjustment when you start depending on Pharaoh. It's an adjustment when you start depending on the system. It's an adjustment when you stop depending on man and start depending on the Spirit of the Most High. It's a huge adjustment because the simple fact is now you have to totally rely on the Creator. And see, that's what my wife was telling me this morning. Last night. That's what the wilderness experience is all about. is total dependence on the Creator. That's what the wilderness experience was all about. Total dependence on the Creator. And when you can actually be in the wilderness and have total dependence on the Creator, you'll be all right. But a lot of people don't have that ability. And I struggle with it. I'm like Job. And I'm not lying to you. I'm like Job. Job went through persecution because the simple fact is the Most High wanted to cleanse him from thinking he was what he is because of what he had. And see, the Most High he cleansed Job. He allowed Job to go through what he went through because the simple fact that he was still working on Job. Even though Job was a righteous man, he was working on Job. And see, I'm like Job to a certain extent. I have things in life. I got things in life, and I work. I feel like I work hard. But now the Most High is getting ready to want to take you to another level. Now, when he want to take you to another level, take you to new places, he going to make you be uncomfortable to get you where he wants you to be. And see, a lot of people don't want to be in that uncomfortable situation. See, the children of Israel was very comfortable living in Egypt. Go to Numbers chapter 11, verse 4 and 5. Because I want us to understand this. It says, and the mixed multitude that was among them fell a lusting, and the children of Israel also wept again and said, who shall give us flesh to eat? We remember the fish which we did eat in Egypt freely, the cucumbers, the melons, the leeks, and the onions, and all the garlic. See, don't nobody want to be uncomfortable in the midst of a new situation. But they was total relying on the system. And see, that's what the Most High was doing. He was removing them from the system and making them total reliant on him. Because he wanted to provide for them. He didn't want man to provide for them. And so when we start to understand that, these experiences and these moments, see, the Most High be trying to remove you from things and people and places so that he can have you total reliance on him so that you can really receive the blessing.
Oh, yeah.
And I want you to understand that I'm talking, this is a personal experience. I want you to understand something. This is very personal because, see, the Most High don't want you to really be a servant to man. He wants you to be a servant to him. And when you are a servant to him, he will give you gifts and abilities to do what you're supposed to do for him. But when you still serving man, you're not going to be able to get the gifts from get what the Most High can give you because you're serving man and you're not serving the Creator. And I want you to hear this. I'm talking to myself because this is my gift. I'm a natural born teacher. I can do manly things, but my gifts and my abilities that the Creator have given me, I'm a teacher. He has given me the abilities to be able to understand what he wants me to understand. And then when I understand it, I can present it to people in a way that they could be able to receive it. See, I've been homeless. I've been without food. I've been having to walk to work, spend the night on my job. So I understand people in situations. So when I deal with people on how I wanted to be treated in situations that I was in. I didn't want to make myself be as if I'm not or have never been in that situation, but I wanted to treat people because how I wanted to be in those situations. And I tell people where I work at, I said, I'm not a taskmaster. I'm not finna whoop you with no whip. And I'm not finna tell you to do this. And I'm not finna talk to you as if I'm belittling you because you are a human being. You're not human capital to me. I've been where you are. I know your situation. I know how it feels. So when I'm talking to people who I work with, I'm treating them with dignity and respect because they are humans having a spiritual experience. And I know that. So when I'm dealing with people, I understand, yes, they don't want to leave the conveniences of Egypt. But what they're not realizing that they're actually fighting depending on man and not the creator. That's what it is. That's why they vote, because they're depending on what they want man to do for them and not what they want the Most High to do for them. So let us go back to Exodus chapter 1, verse 16. Because now he's wanting to delete the children because of their inheritance, because of their blessings, their anointings. See, Pharaoh was very fearful. And we're living in a fearful society today. So if he had to make your job hard, he was going to do it. If he had to delete your offspring, he's willing to do it because of his emotional experiences, because of his emotions of fear. See, Pharaoh didn't love Hebrews. He feared the Hebrews. And see, sometimes people fear you more than anything, and they fear you because of your abilities. Not because you have done something against them, not because you intentionally want to hurt, harm, and damage them, but because of the abilities that you have in you. And they are threatened by that ability. And you got to understand that. Go to Revelation chapter 12, verse 4. And it reads, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven and cast them to the earth, and the dragon stood before the woman, which is the children of Israel, which was ready to be delivered, means to be brought free, for to devour her children as soon as it were born. See? And then, let me read verse 5. And she brought forth a child who was to rule all nations with an iron rod, and her children was caught up unto Ananiah and to his throne. See, it was already prophesied that Moses was going to take the throne of Egypt and conquer Egypt. It was prophesied in the book of Jasher, right? And Pharaoh was doing everything he possibly can to stop the prophecy. But you cannot stop prophecy, because it's already been spoken from the beginning. So he said, my word shall not go out and come back void. You cannot stop what was already given to you or destined for you. And can't nobody stop it. Only thing you got to do is just walk in whatever you're supposed to be doing so that it can be given to you. Because it says this in verse 12, 5 in Revelation chapter 12. And she brought forth a man-child. Listen to this part. Who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. See, that's what he was trying to stop. He was trying to stop biblical prophecy. He was trying to stop the anointing. He was trying to stop the inheritance. And see, when you're on jobs and you're around people and they're moving out of fear, and you look at where we at today, they're trying to stop biblical prophecy. They're trying to stop you from doing what you're supposed to be doing. Second Ezra, chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting as under of the times? Or when shall the end be of the first and the beginning of it that follows? Listen to that. And he said unto me, from Abraham to Isaac, and when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob hand held first the heels of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of that follows. See, that is actually what is taking place in the world, on your jobs, and on your position. People actually trying to stop your destiny. People are trying to stop you from being who you are, even if it's by deleting your offsprings, making your situation difficult, or whatever it may be, but not understanding that they're bringing actual judgment on themselves, because in Galatians 6 and 7, you shall reap what you have sown. He said, my word should not go out. Ananias is not mocked. You can't mock the Most High in this situation. Now let's go back to Exodus chapter 11, chapter 1, verse 16. It says again, and when he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, see them upon the stool, meaning having children. If it be a son, then ye shall delete him. What has happened in Texas and Mississippi, they are intentionally deleting it because the inheritance, the blessings that is appointed to those people. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Why? Because there's more Egyptians than men, and they can have mixed races of children. Then it says this, but the midwife feared Ananias. I talked about ramming the bush this week too. The old midwives were ramming the bush. But the midwives feared Ananias and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them. but save the men, children alive. See, we're going to always have rams in the bushes. We'll always have that. When you are a righteous person, when you're trying to do the right thing, and you're trying to do and be obedient to the commandments, you're going to always have a ram in the bush. Verse 18. And the king of Egypt called for the midwives, and said unto them, Why have you done this thing? And I have saved the men and children alive. And have saved the men and children alive. And the midwives said unto Pharaoh, Because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptians. Listen to that. For they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives come in unto them. What they're saying is, the Hebrew women have already had them children before the Egyptian midwife come in, so they can't do nothing with them. Go to Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 6. This is something that we have to understand about us as a people. Deuteronomy 7, verse 6, Thou art a holy people unto Ananiah. Unto Yahuwah thy Ananiah. Yahuwah thy Ananiah has chosen thee to be a special people unto him, above all people that is upon the face of the earth. Understand that. So when the Egyptians, when they were saying they're not like us, they're saying that the Hebrew women are much better women than us because they can have their children by themselves and do what they got to do, and they don't need the Egyptians. Because listen to this verse again. For thou art an holy people unto Yahuwah thy Adonai. Yahuwah thy Adonai have chosen thee to be a special people unto him above all people that is upon the face of the earth. What did the Egyptian woman say in verse 18? Verse 19? And the midwife said unto Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not as the Egyptian women. The Egyptian women understood that the Hebrew women are much better women than the Egyptians. For they are lively and are delivered ere the midwives, before the midwives come in unto them. Okay, what does the word lively mean? The word lively means vigor. It means they give promised life. They are anointed, they are nourished, they are preserved, they recover, they repair, they restore. And if you look at the Hebrew women or African American women today, it wouldn't be, if it weren't for the women today, a lot of African American women of old, a lot of nations of people wouldn't have survived. Hebrew and African American women today have helped every nation of people become who they are. Understand that. And I remember this lady saying one day, right? She said this. She's a teacher. She was a teacher, and she always have had sisters or Hebrew or African American women to assist her in becoming great, winning awards. See, our sisters and our brothers have always assisted other people in becoming great people. They understood our abilities. They understood our natural gift. But they only used our natural gift for their glory. not to allow us to be glorified, but they use everything that we have for their glory. Pat Riley wasn't a good coach. Pat Riley had good players who believed in Pat Riley's philosophy. If people didn't believe in Pat Riley's philosophy, and Pat Riley had the ability, had the talent on his team, Pat Riley would have never been who he is. Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Florida State, LSU, Tennessee, all those schools would not be who they are if they didn't have the talent and had people to buy into the philosophies that that school is trying to do. See, they always got to say you got to buy in. You got to get somebody to buy in. You got to use your abilities and your skills to buy into something. And when they buy in, that means that whatever they're buying into, it will become successful. See, an idea is just an idea until it's put into action. But you need people who have the skills and abilities to make it work. And see, those midwives did not buy into what Pharaoh was doing. And see, when you don't buy into wickedness and evil, it could never take place. I got to get ready to go. It says, therefore, Ananias dealt well with the midwife. Listen to that. When you treat people good, the Most High going to take care of you. Therefore, Ananias dealt well with the midwives, and the people multiplied and waxed very mighty. And it came to pass because the midwife feared Ananias and didn't fear Pharaoh, that he made them houses. And Pharaoh charged all his people, saying, every son that is born ye shall cast him into the rivers, and every daughter ye shall save alive. See, that's the same way the governmental system do today. They use our sisters to be the cornerstone of our community and cast the boys and men away so that the women can depend totally on the system. Nobody asks the question, well, Pharaoh, why you want to get rid of the women? Why you want to get rid of the men? Because it was a manipulation and deception tactic. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 verses, and then I'm going to let you go. In Psalms 105 and 25, it says, he turned their hearts to hate his people. Listen to that. To deal suddenly with his servants. See, this is the hard part about reality, right? We got to understand that the Most High is always in control and still going to be in control. Nothing new is under the sun. What he did then, what he's doing now, right? We got to understand this part right here in life. And see, we never know why we're going through what we're going through. We never know why things are happening the way they happen. But we also got to know this for a fact. He turned their hearts to hate his people. And the reason why he did that is for him to show Pharaoh and those people, it ain't their power. It ain't in their power. It is in his power. See, what people think they're doing is really not what they're doing. They're just actually pushing you to where you're supposed to be. See, the children of Israel never supposed to serve the Egyptians. They're supposed to be serving the Most High. They're supposed to be living in their purpose and their anointing. They're supposed to be the light of the earth. See, we the one who lost our flavor. We're the salt of the earth. We're the light to sit on the stand. But in order for us to be that way, The Most High had to remove us from Egypt so that we could shine the way he wants us to shine and be the way he wants us to be. But it was some difficult people trying to adjust to that moment. Understand this again. He said he turned their hearts to hate his people. Reason why? Because he knew what the Pharaoh and the children, he knew what Egypt and the Pharaoh was doing to his people. They was intentionally harming his people for their glory. And see, some of us are going through this now on the jobs. Some of us are going through this in our society, where they're deleting our young men today. Whereas lynching, police shootings, hangings, abortions, all of that. Making it hard on the workplace when they know the situations are bad. Calling us to have stress, high blood pressure, diabetes, all this stuff. They're intentionally doing it because they're moving out of fear. One more. Proverbs 4:16. For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall. See, it's some people only live to cause hurt, harm, and danger to people. They get a high, they're addicted to it, they're a drug addict of causing chaos and commotion. And I see it. I see it every day. And I'm sure you all see it where people are intentionally being evil because of just they're evil people. No matter how much they wanna do good, they're just evil people. So what am I saying? We're still in Egypt. If we analyze the story of Egypt, if we understand the mindset of Pharaoh, understand the current administration, understand the total environment, taskmasters are people who enforce what Pharaoh say. Police, ICE agents. We'll recognize that there's no different today than yesterday. But what's actually taking place is you being get ready to be born again. You being birthed, you being having to become free. You being liberated. But you just got to be able to be prepared for that moment. Tap into your skills and your abilities to be able to use them when we get ready to go to the wilderness. Right now is a moment of preparation. Right now is a moment of being able to get yourself ready for what is to come. Right now is a moment of freedom, making tough decisions that you may or may not want to make, so that you could be ready for whatever situation may happen in your life. Because I just gave you the mindset of Pharaoh. He don't care nothing about you. He just want what he want from you, and that's it. But you got to make decisions based for you and you got to make decisions for you. You can't depend on Pharaoh, because Pharaoh got his own objective. You got to make decisions for you and yours. So that concludes the teaching for today. I hope y'all got something out of it. I did. The teaching was for me today, because I'm tired of letting people use my talent for their benefit. Because even the handmaids, the midwives, they didn't work for Pharaoh. They worked for the Creator because they fear the Creator more than they fear Pharaoh. And that's the mindset that we got to understand. They weren't going to commit no murder for Pharaoh because they feared the Creator. Understand that. I'm not going to be no taskmaster for Pharaoh because I fear the Creator. I'm not going to mistreat nobody. I'm not going to belittle nobody. I'm not going to do any of that for no Pharaoh. Because I know what's happening at the end of the day. I don't care where I work, what I do, who I come in contact with. Pharaoh ain't finna make me become no taskmaster. He's not finna make me mistreat people. He's not finna make me misuse people because of this situation. So I hope that you don't do the same. I pray that you don't be no taskmaster for Pharaoh. Because Pharaoh just want his treasure cities and his Pitums and Ramses. But you'll lose your spirit and your soul following Pharaoh. So, Father, as we come to you today, we thank you, we bless you, we praise you, we give you all the honor and the glory. Father, we thank you for everything you have done, what you do. Father, we just ask that you continue to let your will be done. Father, we ask that you allow us to see the way you want us to see, hear the way you want us to hear, and speak the way you want us to speak. Father, we know that we got to make some tough decisions. We know that we got to make some decisions about life, about our situation, about what you want us to do with our life. The midwives made decisions. They made decisions to follow you and not listen to Pharaoh. They was obedient to your word. They understood the ramifications. But we also looked at the midwives' situation and understood they was blessed because they was obedient to your word. So, Father, help us become obedient to your word and be able to do what you want us to do. Because we understand that at the end of the day, you get the glory. So, Father, we ask that you continue to lead us and guide us and cover us and protect us on these highways and byways. Father, we just ask that you continue to direct our footsteps, but let your word not go out and come back void. But let us stand strong in the midst of it and believe in you more than ever before. In your high name we pray. So let it be. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Thank you all for listening to me. I hope you have a blessed one. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh God, I'm gonna praise for the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. They compassed me about also with words of hatred and fought against me without a cause. For my love, they are my adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer, and they have rewarded me evil for good and hatred for my love. Set thou wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Yeah. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he had, and let the stranger spoil his labor. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his fatherless children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth, because that he remembered not to show mercy, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay the broken in heart, as he loved cursing. So let it come unto him, as he delighted not in blessing. So let it be far from him, as he clothed himself with cursing like as with his garment. So let it come into his bowels like water, and like oil into his bones. Let it be unto him as the garment which covereth him, and for a girdle wherewith he is girded continually. Let this be the reward of mine adversaries from the Lord, and of them that speak evil against my soul. mercy is good, deliver thou me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I am gone like the shadow when it declineth. I am tossed up and down as the locust. My knees are weak through fasting, and my flesh faileth the fatness. I became also a reproach unto them. When they looked upon me, they shake their heads. Help me, O Lord, my God. Oh, save me according to thy mercy, that they may know that this is thy hand, that thou, Lord, hast done it. Let them curse, but bless thou when they arise. Let them be ashamed, but let thy servant rejoice. Let mine adversaries be clothed with shame, and let them cover themselves with their own confusion as with a mantle. I will greatly praise the Lord with my mouth, yet I will praise him among the multitude. For he shall stand at the right hand of the poor, to save him from those that condemn his soul.
Shalom, shalom, shalom. Shabbat shalom. Y'all have a blessed one. Later.